Belgium is the host for the latest mix of football and motor racing, and today someone will win €100,000. This is Super League Formula. Drivers from Formula One, sports cars and rising new stars will go wheel to wheel in V12 powered racing cars for the honour of some of the most famous football clubs in the world.
Whistle goes off, Dolby goes off as well. €100,000 goes to Olympiacos. Oh, can they make it?
That was close. Only an hour's drive from the administrative heart of Europe. The road from Brussels brings us to an altogether more rural scene in northeastern Belgium. This track, sadly perhaps most infamous as being the circuit where beloved Ferrari driver Gilles Villeneuve lost his life in a qualifying accident in 1982. But it is a fan-friendly track and there are plenty of supporters for the various football clubs that are involved in Super League this weekend. Young and old have come to Zolder to see the latest edition of the battle between the football clubs at 300 kilometres per hour. Well, this is part of the schedule that has seen us go to a number of current and former Grand Prix circuits throughout Europe. Here we are at Zolder for round 6, the next round at Brands Hatch in the UK, another former Grand Prix track, then some new circuits to look forward to as well at Adria in Italy, Portimao in Portugal, and finishing off at Navarra in Spain. The track itself winds its way through the woodland here, built on a former swampland. I'm here with New Zealand racer Earl Bamber. And Earl, we've been taking a look at this track in some detail.
Yeah, no, we have, and we've had a fantastic first race. I think the big question for the second race with the reverse grid is where are people going to pass? It is very tight and narrow. We did see some overtaking, but it is difficult.
It is tough. Well, we'll have to see what they can do in the reverse grid race. We are getting ready for the second race of the day, but what happened in the first race? Let's take a look. And hard on the power, there goes the pole man. Chris van der Drift gets the power down, gets in front of Anderlecht as they run down into turn 1. Anderlecht into second, Corinthians into third. There's Dolby already. He's up into 4th place. He started 6th. Dolby for Tottenham on the attack already, but Corinthians defends on the inside. Down the inside, Andy Soucek using the push to pass, I'm sure.
Oh no, and Anderlecht's getting held up even further.
Yeah.
To come through, they need a clean pit stop.
Let's see where he rejoins. Anderlecht actually have managed to get through.
Tottenham.
And Corinthians going to still be in front of Craig Dolby. This is the battle in the championship we're looking at here between this car, AC Milan, currently second in the points, and now he finds himself right behind the guy leading the championship, Craig Dolby, in the Tottenham car. Oh! Tottenham and AC Milan, and AC Milan's got past Tottenham. What happened there?
Oh, that was a brilliant move.
And now Dolby's under a bit of pressure himself from Max Wissel of Basel. Oh, locks up, big time coming down to that first chicane. From pole position, Chris van der Drift takes victory in race 1 for Olympiacos, and he has beaten Anderlecht. But 4 it is now for Chris van der Drift. So there we are, that's what happened in the first race today. Chris van der Drift coming home for Olympiacos. Anderlecht a strong second for Davide Rigon, and Corinthians taking their first podium of the year. AC Milan beat Tottenham as we saw. Liverpool, Basel, Seville, Sporting Lisbon and PSV completed the top 10 finishers. A little further down though, Porto, Bordeaux, Beijing, Galatasaray, AS Roma, Atletico Madrid, and failing to finish, the only non-finisher, Flamengo with Duncan Tapie. So, of course, with a reverse grid race for race 2, it's going to make life very exciting. This is the championship positions. AC Milan only gaining 4 points in the gap between themselves and Tottenham. Anderlecht have moved up to 3rd ahead of Basel, who are now tied with Olympiacos. AS Roma didn't score very well in that first race. Liverpool doing well, though, moving slightly further up. And Corinthians up there into the top 10 now, courtesy of that 3rd place finish. Few teams further down the order there that will be well placed on the grid for this second race. Atletico Madrid in particular, 15th in the points, but starting near the front on this one. Well, of course, Olympiacos, winners of the first race of the day, and they'll be looking to try and come from the back in this one. The reverse grid sees Duncan Tapie on pole position for Flamengo, and Marita Velotta for Atletico Madrid alongside on the front row. Julian Jus of AS Roma's on 3rd place. Tristan Gomedy for Galatasaray starts from 4th position. Behind them we've got John Martin for Beijing, Jaap van Lagen, new driver for Bordeaux, and then Alvaro Parent for Porto and Narain Kartikeyan for PSV. Andy Soucek drives for Lisbon, Marcus Martinez for Seville, Max Wissel's 11th on the grid, James Walker 12th with the Liverpool car. 13th, Craig Dolby in the Tottenham machine, ahead of his big rival, Jelmer Berman for AC Milan. Then it's Robert Dornbos of Corinthians, Davide Rigon of Anderlecht, And as we get to the back, of course, the winner earlier on today, Chris van der Drift for Olympiakos. Now, there is a target for any of the drivers to try and win all 3 races in one day. This is the Super League flag that has been signed by all the drivers. It is the prize on offer if any driver should achieve that. But of course, to achieve it today is going to be pretty tough. It's dry, it's a narrow track, it's hard to overtake here at Zolder. So for Chris van der Drift to back up his win earlier today, well, it's going to have to be quite some performance from him as he starts from the very back of the field. So there is the Olympiakos car. Starting at the back, up front on pole position, of course, will be Duncan Tappy for Flamengo. But we haven't seen many people win from pole position in race 2. It has been a lot of pressure from pole position.
Traditionally, pole position is the place every driver likes to start a race. But in Super League Formula, instead of a blessing, sometimes it appears to be a curse. When it comes to race 2, pole position brings added pressure. Because of the reverse grid, starting at the front means you've done badly in race 1.
It's always bad to have a failure, and yeah, it's quite hard after a difficult first race to come down and clean your head and to be ready for the second.
Of the 5 pole positions this season in race 2, only 1 has led to victory. But why is that?
It's difficult because every leader is different. Some go on the power too early, some wait quite long. But I mean, in the end, you can't plan anything. It just happens as it happens.
Including super finals, Craig Dolby's only had 1 win from 5 pole positions this season. He thinks that drivers on pole for race 2 put themselves under too much pressure.
They have to make sure they push hard to try and score points for the super final, because if they're at the front in race 2, they've had a bad race 1 and got no points. So they have to push hard to try and get the points for the super final. Plus, you've also got the quick guys coming through from the back, so they'll be looking in their mirrors maybe a little bit more. And yeah, so the pressure's definitely on the guys in the front of race 2.
Anyway, we're about to find out if today's race 2 can have its 2nd pole position winner of the season.
Congratulations, Max. Congratulations. Easy win. Congratulations.
And if that's going to happen, it'll be Duncan Tappy who will take the win, because he had clutch problems in the first race and he therefore starts from pole position. He was a non-finisher, so he gets the top slot in the second race. And this was the work that was going on between races. They had to change the clutch, so it was a pretty big job to split the car in half, replace that clutch and put it all back together again. Thankfully, they have managed to get the work done, and he is taking up his pole position. Alongside him on the front row is Maria de Villota. She had her best finish ever last time out at the Nürburgring when she finished in 4th in race 2. The reverse grid helped her there, and she's in pretty feisty form this weekend. In the first race of the day, she was in front of race leader Chris van der Drift, who was trying to lap her, and she was not making life easy at all for him, and in fact Chris was getting a bit upset about it, so he was really pushing to try and get past. And Earl, I know that you found out a bit in between races.
Yeah, I spoke to Chris in between the race, and they certainly had some very, very harsh words between each other, so it's going to be good for this race.
Well, that's fascinating to see, but now looking here at the championship leader, it is Craig Dolby, of course, for Tottenham, and he still retains the championship lead. He lost a few points to his big rival, though, AC Milan's Jelmer Berman, and it was as a result of a great passing manoeuvre.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely championship-winning stuff for Jelmer Berman. Banging it down the inside, very risky, fantastic job. And look at this pass. So brave on the brakes, really trusting each other. And yeah, fantastic. Looking forward for this race for more overtakes like that.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. They've got to work hard coming from the back. So 26 points behind Tottenham now, and a 50 points on offer for the race victory, of course. Well, it's a really wide open race, this one, because there's nobody up front on the reverse grid who you sort of think was going to run away with it. But there are a few cars in the middle that you could expect to go well. And interesting this weekend in the Sporting Lisbon car is Andy Soucek, the reigning FIA Formula 2 champion. Put in some good laps in the first race. Let's hear what he had to say to Abby a few moments ago.
Andy, Spain had a great World Cup. Maria's in front row in race 2. You were looking good in race 1. Can you be victorious for Spain?
Victorious, I think, is a bit too positive. I think I can do a good job for sure. I had a very good pace on my first race, and now I'm looking forward to be on the top 5. Let's see if we can score as many points as possible to be in the super final. Would be a great job for all the team who has been doing an amazing job.
Now, out of interest, you pitted really late in race 1. Was that a strategic move, and did it pay off?
No, it wasn't. It was actually the move that we had to do because there is priority. The other drivers have been doing the whole championship. They have to score the points. I'm just a newcomer, so I'm the last one to get the pit lane, to get the pit board. So it didn't really help me. I actually lost about 7 or 8 seconds, so it was not perfect. So I'm going to try and push them to pit me a bit early now.
Well, good luck.
Thanks.
So there is the grid, lining up in absolutely beautiful sunshine. The winner of the first race of the day, Chris van der Drift, and he's going to be fighting his way up through the order, obviously trying to see how far he can get into that super final. Anderlecht Davide Rigon will be trying to go with them. They'll be using their push-to-pass buttons furiously, I'm sure, to try and move through. But an interesting next car on the grid is Robert Dornbos for Corinthians, because he's been fast all weekend.
Yeah, no, he's been incredibly fast. 3rd place, fantastic result, best so far. He'll be looking to charge through.
Yeah, and he's an aggressive racer as well, so we can expect him to make some moves. But then just ahead of him on the grid, he's got 2 tough cars, because both AC Milan and Tottenham, well, we know how fast they are.
Yeah, no, they're incredibly fast. AC Milan did a good job. The next man on the grid, Tottenham Hotspur, I'm really looking forward to this guy. He is the magic man at passing. I can't wait to see the first lap from him.
Yeah, right. He's bouncing up and down in the seat. Look, he's ready for the battle, isn't he? But ahead of those 2, again, another couple of pretty solid cars, because Liverpool's James Walker is there. The Liverpool team has had a race win here at this Zolder circuit in the past. Alongside him, though, the rapid Max Wissel for Basel.
Yeah, Max Wissel has been very, very quick. He missed out in that first race a little bit with a bad pit stop, but I'm sure he'll be out to make up amends for it in this race. He's been very consistent all year. Finished every super final.
Yeah, that's right. Every super final. Can he complete that record? Seville, Marcos Martinez definitely having a better weekend than he has done over some of the previous events. So Spanish driver there. And we've got a Spanish driver that we just spoke to a moment ago in Andy Soucek in this car.
Yeah, Andy Soucek in the Spanish club. He's really looking to have a good result and try get into that super final for the first time.
PSV's Narain Carter-Kane, he's next up on the grid. He's been relearning this car. It's been completely re-engineered for this weekend. But next up, a guy who's a bit disappointed with his run so far.
Yeah, I spoke to Alvaro Print for FC Porto. He really struggled and not having a nice time of it this weekend. He's scratching his head a little bit, but I'm sure he'll be right.
Jaap van Lagen is making his debut this weekend in the Bordeaux car. So Frank Montagny not in, but Jaap van Lagen actually doing a fine job, considering he's not driven a top single-seater for quite a long time. John Martin a bit more experienced at this level.
Yeah, John Martin's very experienced, not having a great time of it. Penalty in the first race didn't go his way.
Galatasaray also struggling. Tristan Gomini had a spin in that first race, but he did come home with a podium from race 2 at the Nürburgring. He might be able to do the same. And there's a big question mark about the car next to him on the grid, AS Roma. If they've solved their gearbox problems, he could be fast.
Yeah, no, he could be very fast. Polster last time out, struggled with the gearbox issue all weekend.
Let's hope they've got it sorted, but it does seem to be proving difficult. And then we move on to that front row, of course. Starting second, Atletico Madrid, Maria de Vallota, looking for her first ever podium finish. I tell you what, she will defend as hard as anybody out there. She'll be racing for position. But on pole, it's Duncan Tappy.
Yeah, Duncan Tappy, a man that hasn't had the best of luck, but been very quick all weekend. He'll be backing himself for a good result.
Yeah, what an opportunity this is for the English driver, who's sort of a bit of a sort of substitute driver really in Super League over the last couple of seasons, and when he gets a chance he always grabs it with both hands, and it's lovely to see.
Yeah, it is lovely to see, and he's a really nice personality inside the car. The team wishing him luck down on the grid. I'm sure they're hoping it does hold together. They did a fantastic job even to get him on the grid, and hopefully he has a fantastic race.
So there we go, the grid now being cleared. Let's hope everybody had their tyres fitted and the cars were down on the ground in the allocated time. That was what Beijing was penalised for in the first race. And now, as the grid begins to clear, the drivers begin to clear their heads as well and think about how they're going to approach this first lap in particular. They've got a formation lap to deal with first. Quite a few cars on new tyres. AS Roma there on a brand new set of tyres.
Yeah, I was speaking with Duncan Tappy. He's a little bit worried for the start. He's starting on old tyres, rather De Vallota beside him's on brand new, so that's going to tie up some different strategies coming up for this opening couple of laps as they're about to roll away from the grid.
So the pace car has left the grid, and we're waiting now for the cars to move away. The standing start for the formation lap, but when they come around next time, they will be lining up for the rolling start, of course. And then this charge into turn 1. And Earl, we did see, certainly in Craig Dolby, make a move around the outside into that first corner.
Yeah, no, we'll be looking for these guys at the back to make some big moves. Now, it was a bit of an open start last time, so it'll be interesting to see if they bunch it up this time round.
Yep, they'll be using their push-to-pass buttons and trying to make their way through the order, if at all possible. You're just watching the grid scroll through at the bottom of the screen. Now, Tottenham starting down towards the back this time. That means he went well in the first race. We are going to try and have contact with Craig Dolby via the radio. Let's see if we can get hold of him. Hey, Craig, this is Ben in the commentary box. You did well in the first race. It makes life a bit harder in race 2 in Super League, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we did a good half-decent first race, and then this race is going to be good fun. Trying to make people make mistakes and get past as many as possible to try and get in that super final. But things are good, we've changed a few things on the car, so hopefully we'll be going a lot faster in this one.
You made a great move around the outside at the first corner. Is that the plan again?
I think so. This time I'm on the inside, but if a gap opens up on the outside, I'll take it.
Have a great race. It's brilliant to hear.
Yeah, no, he's a fantastic driver, and he's going to be, you know, lighting up the corners in the first couple laps. I'm really looking forward to seeing him every time the start happens. I really love watching Craig Dolby over the first lap. He is spectacular.
Yeah, so let's see whether he can do that again, and let's hope they can keep it clean. It is tight here. Look how narrow it is. You get a couple of cars side by side. There's not a lot of space.
Yeah, it's only about wide enough for 2 cars. These cars are very big, 5 meters long, so it does take a lot to get past. Here we go. The cars are starting to line up now.
Yep, already lining up on the penultimate straight. They've still got that last little chicane to deal with. There is the review quickly from Maria de Vallota. She's got clear road ahead of her, of course, because she's on the outside of the front row. AS Roma tucked in behind. Julian Jus could be fast here. Galatasaray, Tristan Gomedy will be attempting to come through as well, on board with AC Milan. Here we go. Coming through the final chicane in preparation for the start of the second race of the day at Zolder. Duncan Tappy, the pole man, will try and judge the start here as we get race 2 underway, and already the cars are all over the place. Oh, and there's an accident. Dolby's out. Dolby's in trouble. He's been hit. He's lost his front wing. The championship leader hits the barrier. He's out of this race already. Major drama at the start of the second race of the day.
Oh no!
Corinthians has gone up and over. Robert Dombos. Let's see if we can talk to Craig on the radio. Craig, are you okay? What's happened here? Oh, he's
out of the car.
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge on the first lap. The championship leader out and a car rolled over. Hopefully Robert Dornbos is all right. And are they going to continue the race, or is it going to go under safety car?
Duncan Tappy leads the race for Flamengo. He's got AS Roma right behind. Julian Jus made a good getaway.
Oh, and car bouncing over the curb. That was a tough move. FC Porto making a good move.
Yeah, with Galatasaray, and Maria's in third place at the moment. She's survived so far. Olympiakos trying to charge through. The winner of earlier on is behind Anderlecht, so he's lost a place to... Well, no, he's not. He was behind him anyway on the grid because he started last, but there is Craig Dolby. You know, he's holding his arm a little bit. I think he's taken a bash to his wrist.
Yeah, when you go up in the air like that and have a crash, it's got no power steering, so it directly goes through your hands and really shocks, and it's really easy to break your wrist when you have that situation. Yeah, it's holding his wrist. Hopefully he's okay. It would be exactly that.
Oh, this is major drama.
And this is dangerous here. Look, the flag marshals are still down on... Oh, we've got the safety car.
Yep, safety car has picked them up, and that's great. The safety car access is actually up at the end there. It's a really sensible move here at Zolder, is that the car is held at that final chicane so that they can pick the leaders up in a situation like this. So as Dolby's car is moved away, safety car has already picked them up, and that's great news.
Yeah, and what a first lap. We were looking for excitement, and we got it.
We certainly did get it, and I think he's going to be going down to the medical centre to have that wrist looked at with race engineer Simon there, who's going to, I'm sure, get him straight off to the medical centre. They'll be concerned about that, and he is in some pain, clearly.
Yep.
So that's we never ever want to see that. But I mean, what a dramatic opening stint, and quite what happened to Corinthians we don't know yet, but we'll hopefully get another view of what happened.
Yeah, well, that looked like even a bigger accident. We saw him upside down at one stage, so hopefully we can get a replay of that. But wow, what an opening lap. The back guys, the quick guys, seem to be at the back still, didn't make too much progress as we've got a car going around with no rear wing.
That is Seville. Now what happened, I saw that in the background. Seville, I don't know if they made a contact with someone else or something happened, but he was the one that hit Tottenham. It was Seville that sort of got either hit or slid or something.
It looked like someone pushed Seville and they got sideways or wheel spun, and then they had to brake. Here's a replay.
So you're looking back really towards the back here, remember, or 2/3 of the way down the field. They all start to fan out. Watch the red and white car in the middle.
It was Liverpool FC pushing Seville across, and then he had to brake, and then across up over the top came Tottenham.
And there was nothing Craig could do about that.
No, that's a racing incident. Oh, and there you see that wing really bounced up in the air. He was quite lucky.
Now, what happened to Corinthians? He's down towards the back of the field, Corinthians. What happens here?
He gets caught by Martinez.
Oh, my goodness. So it was Martinez, Seville again.
Yeah, it was Seville because he had no rear wing, no grip, and no control, and he just went up in the air. And it wasn't really his fault because his car was damaged already.
Now, let's see how it looked from Craig's point of view.
This will be pretty entertaining. Here we go. The car gets pushed across, nowhere to go.
And the wheel.
And just watch his hands when he comes up to hit the wall here.
Yeah.
Watch. The steering wheel snaps.
Yeah, absolutely. Maybe that was what the damage did, or was it done when he first got hit? Hard to tell. Now Craig is there with Abby. Let's hear from him.
Craig, are you okay? You're holding your wrist at the moment, and I can see that you're shaking.
Yeah, it's fine. So, just unfortunate, really. Someone spun at the start, and yeah, I got collected, so nothing I could do about it, but I will come back stronger.
Are you hurt?
I'm all right.
He's not giving anything away, but he is not looking as though...
He's not happy. That's not the normal bright and bubbly Craig Dolby, but you can't blame him, and he does look a little bit hurt, but we wish him all the best, and I'm sure he'll be back out in the next round.
Has a huge effect on the championship, potentially. AC Milan are currently 11th in this race. There you can see the graphic at the top there. ACM, that's AC Milan. That is, of course, Craig's nearest challenger in the championship, and here is a big opportunity for them.
Here
now let's take
watch.
another look. Oh, my goodness. That was a high-speed roll, wasn't it? And really, again, Dornbos had no way of knowing that that was coming. As you say, Seville was already in trouble, couldn't really turn into the corner, and they just flicked over the top.
Yeah, but, it's great to see that all the drivers hopped out safely, and, real credit to just how safe these Super League Formula E cars are.
Well, the safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap, Earl, and that means that Duncan Tappy has still got the advantage. Easy to forget what happened up front, but our pole man got away well, didn't he?
Yeah, no, he did get away very, very well. Did a good, clean job. It was really all the drama at the back. There was it was pretty calm and collective at the very front. But I'm sure Duncan Tappy's going to try and move on his way. We saw AS Roma on brand new tyres, so that's going to be interesting to see if he can pressure Duncan Tappy.
Now, in a way, having a safety car now has hurt AS Roma because the best of their tyres, it's sort of not too bad under safety car, but it's still not ideal for them, is it?
Yeah, no, it's not ideal. And I think the next factor is that we're ticking down the time, and very, very soon the pit lane's going to open, and this field's going to be very, very bunched. And this is what we talk about. To go for the three-peat, you need a safety car. So we're going to be looking at Chris van der Drift to make a very good strategy.
Okay, well, they're getting ready for the restart here. The car's already beginning to build up speed. It's Duncan Tappy who sees the green flags and gets ready to charge once again from up front, but AS Roma's going to go with him. Tappy gets on the power out of the final chicane. We go racing once again. Julian Jus goes with him. Atletico Madrid, Maria is in third place. Fourth place for Beijing's John Martin. Some battling going further back. Porto in fifth. Galatasaray in sixth place. PSV in seventh. Down through the first corner, and the battle is definitely on up front. As let's see what's happening further back. A little bit of a move here. Liverpool versus AC Milan, and AC Milan sweeping around the outside. And has he got the place? James Walker's not going to give it up. They're still side by side.
Yeah, this is great racing. Can he get the move done? No, he's got the outside line. Can he cross him back over? Or no, he got in the marbles up there, and Liverpool hold the... That was great racing.
Really
very
good.
fair as well.
Yeah, and very high speed stuff on a narrow circuit. Well done to both drivers for hanging on in there. Yama Berman didn't quite pull that manoeuvre off, but he fought for it every moment. Anderlecht and Olympiakos still following. Then the Bordeaux car, that's dropped down to the back of the field now, Jaap van Lagen. So he's dropped back, but these guys who had success in the first race still have plenty to do. Beijing closing up on Maria.
That was a car going off, wasn't it?
That was certainly kicking up the dust. And third place changes. John Martin takes Maria, and he's got the Beijing car up into third place. Maria is not managing to hold people back, and it looks as though it might have been PSV, do you think, that went off?
Yeah, that looked like PSV going off in the background through the high-speed corner. We'll have to find out if I'm right about that. But as we see the leaders coming through, Maria's gone back. She's lost a couple spots.
Yeah, that's tough news for her. She's going to come under a bit more pressure next from Galatasaray, because Porto's gone past as well. So Galatasaray will be the next one, I think. Then Porto, sorry. As they come through, there is the Bordeaux car of Jaap van Lagen. Up front is Flamengo leading from AS Roma. Beijing now third. Then in fourth place is it is Porto, that's right. Porto in fourth place. Then Madrid. and then it is Galatasaray, then Sporting Lisbon. We gather that Craig Dolby, Robert Dornbos rather, has gone off to the medical centre after that dramatic rollover. No surprise there. Let's hope that he's okay. We certainly saw him step away from the car, and hopefully we'll get a word with him a little bit later on. Meanwhile, these tussles continue further back. Let's just see. We saw the dust. Is it PSV?
Yep.
Yes.
There he goes. Off.
So we don't quite see what happened after that.
No, we don't know if he's come back on. Let's hope he comes back onto the track somewhere.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he has, but we'll get a look at it next time around. He may have done, actually. We'll have a look at that. But there is Maria coming under pressure now. Atletico Madrid, she's down in 5th place. So potential podium really out of the window already, and she is in danger of losing another place here to Tristan Gomedy for Galatasaray.
Yeah, no, it's been a fantastic couple of days. Really, really exciting.
Just look at the graphic and how people have changed their position from their starting position. And Atletico Madrid ATM has lost more, and she's going to lose another one here.
Oh, and they touch!
My goodness! Contact made on the straight into turn 1, and they're doing, what, 170 miles an hour virtually going into that first corner, and they make contact.
Yeah, that was really, really dangerous. Galatasaray already had the inside line. There was no need for that. But she's really fighting. She's holding on to the position, so you can't really blame her. But not nice to do at such high speed. You can see his front wing end plate's a little bit damaged. You can see the adjuster flailing in the wind.
Yeah, that could have been a very frightening incident, and Gomedy will no doubt sort of take a deep breath and go on the attack once again as he turns into that second chicane, clambers up over the hill. Take another look at this, Searle.
Yeah, look at this in the background there. She moves across on him, and they touch.
Yeah, I mean, that moving a second time at that point when the driver's already making a move on you.
She moves once, and then she moves again, and that's not really fair on Christian.
No, absolutely.
And Galatasaray. I mean, it's all right to move once within the rules, but the second time you can't really do it, and that's where it gets dangerous.
Absolutely right. Well, up front, meanwhile, Flamengo still leading this race. Duncan Tappy ahead of AS Roma through Julien Jus, and look at how John Martin has caught them. He's just set fast his lap there, Ol. So he's on form here in the Beijing car.
Yeah, well, he's been really, really fast, and I was talking to his dad earlier, and they just haven't had a good run of luck. They've had tyres falling off, pit lane speed limiters getting stuck on, and now look at him, he's right up the front. I told his dad, eventually it's going to click and they can't do a thing wrong, and now they've got the fastest lap. He's on a charge. It's looking good for John Martin.
Now it's Tristan Gomedy who's waving at Maria. We saw Chris van der Drift doing it earlier. Meanwhile, further back down the order, I'll just tell you that Olympiacos, race 1 winner, down in 12th position. So hasn't made a lot of progress, but 12th is still not bad in the early stages of the race as he looks to get through to the super final. Back with Tristan Gomedy as he chases Maria de Vallota. This is the race for 5th place. Porto, by the way, also going well in 4th, a bit further up the order after struggling in that first race. But this is the race that we're really keeping an eye on here as Maria busily defends from Tristan Gomedy right behind her.
Yeah, no, this is a great little battle, and it's also backing up everyone behind. They're keeping a great race. We've got the top 4 pulling away, and then we've got this next bunch, which is really great to see. And Maria really was strong about the first race. She's not going to give up. She's not going to let the boys push her around, and it's great to see. And she's doing a good job. She's a lot closer to the pace this weekend, and that's why these guys can't get past her.
Yep, they've got to work for it. They're going to have to use their push to pass, possibly. How many push to passes has Galatasaray got? Still got 6 available, and she's got 6 available too. I wonder if Tristan's going to be on that button. She's busy using the middle of the road, turns into the final chicane. Now, can he time the exit? She gets a good exit there, actually.
Yeah, no, she's actually driving the car really nice and tidy this weekend as Galatasaray are closing up into that. Can they do anything in turn 1? No, it's a very, very fast corner. 4th gear in qualifying, so it's very hard to make a move into there.
Not close enough that time.
Go.
And talking about building up towards the pit stop, they want to try and get in past Maria before the pit stops happen. And so Tristan doing his utmost to get in behind that red, white and blue car just ahead of him, but no way through just yet. Flamengo still leading this race. There are the lead 4, leading quartet. There's the gap back to this fight that's going on for 5th place. Right behind is Galatasaray, and then coming through is Sporting Lisbon. Andy Souček back in the Super League car. Basel is in there, so is Liverpool. Then it's AC Milan, Anderlecht and Olympiacos. And all these cars, because they're all being held up, really have great opportunities to gain places when we get to the pit stops.
Yeah, they do. The reason the team are yelling at us to go past, and we see Duncan Tappy, we've got the first group is going to be determined by pit stops as well as the second. Duncan's not on new tyres. He needs a good pit stop to get out. As we have John Martin looking for a move on AS Roma.
Down the outside, surely he can't do that. Julien Jus goes defensive, has to hold the inside. Now, what about the exit of the corner?
No, he's not going to do it.
Not close enough. They charge down the start-finish.
He's on the power boost button though.
He's having
looking
a
to
go.
the inside.
Julian Juice covers the inside, but he goes back to the outside. He's got on the
going
dirt.
off.
It's not on the dirt, and he loses the place to Porto.
Oh, that's such a shame. He's doing such a great job. Just braked a little bit too late and really got his... Oh, and we have Galatasaray up the inside of Miradillo. That is really, really important for the race for Galatasaray.
Yeah, he's done it. He's managed to get that 5th place. So Tristan Gomedy, there he is. Confirmation, he's got ahead of the Atletico Madrid car. Flamengo still leading. Now look, the clock in the top left-hand corner of the screen as somebody's kicked up the dust. Counting down. When it gets to 30, the pit lane window will be open and they can stop if they wish to. Flamengo opening up a fraction more of a lead on this lap, interestingly. But we've got that change around behind because Beijing dropping to the back of the quartet. Still in touch with the leaders, though, and we'll have to see what happens on the pit stops. Take another little look at that whole Beijing versus Roma issue here.
AS Roma was all right. He moved once, and then he tried to brake and just outbraked himself, got on the marbles. Once you get on the marbles, it's like hitting gravel on the road. When you're going through roadwork, you hit those little fine pieces of gravel, and then you've got nothing to do. It's just on a roller coaster ride all the way out to the outside of the corner. And there we see a bit of ice on Craig Dolby's hand, so let's hope he's all right for the next race at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, hopefully it's just a sprain and nothing worse than that. And he's looking a bit more cheerful than when we saw him earlier, so that's good news. Across the line then for another lap, it is still Duncan Tappy. Former driver for Tottenham himself, actually, a couple of years ago, and got on the podium here at Zolder. Did Duncan? Well, he's leading for a different team. He's leading for Flamengo at the moment, and they've never had a victory in Super League Formula, but I tell you what, there's a long way to go in this race yet. The all-important pit stops to come, and who's going to have a good set of tyres to switch onto? You know what? That could easily decide this race. Now, further back, AC Milan. Here we are on board with Jelmer Berman, and of course, he's 10th. He's going to score very useful points in the championship. If he finishes even 10th, he'd score 18 points. And that would reduce the deficit massively down to about 8 points between them. So huge opportunity this for Jelmer Berman. And of course, Tottenham are not going to get in the super final. That's clear. They're out of this race. They will not get into the super final. Craig Dolby will not be racing for the €100,000 check.
Yeah, and that's really important. We've still got a long way to go. So these AC Milan can make up a whole lot of positions. It's going to come down to the pit. So look at this gaggle of cars. All the top guys that were winning the first race are right at the back now, all battling between each other. It's brilliant to see. And I'm looking forward to the pit stops. They're going to come up in a couple minutes now, and then it's going to be all on as the pit window just opens. Let's see who's going to dive into the pits. This is really, really important for the race right now.
Yeah, who's going to be first into the pits? Is the race leader Duncan Tappy going to come straight in? Yes, he is the answer. I can tell you he has, and Flamengo in as well. Basel in, Liverpool in. There is the Flamengo car. So the race leader coming in on this very lap. And Galatasaray also in, so crucial stops coming up. AS Roma have stayed out. This is Julian Juice's opportunity to put the hammer down and see if he can't gain an advantage here.
Yeah, and let's watch the pit stops. Flamengo in, nice tidy stop, hopefully for Duncan Tappy. New tyres on, very important. And that's tidy.
Oh, he was a little bit late being dropped off the jack. I think he just about got out okay, but that was a little bit marginal there. The Basel car, also new tyres going on board for Max Wissel. Liverpool old tyres, that's interesting. That will make it more difficult for James Walker in the second part of this race. Basel get underway. Galatasaray already through and out. And oh, look at this, it's side by side. That's Anderlecht and Basel just getting out in front of Anderlecht.
Yeah, that's really important. As you see, this part is part of the racetrack. They can drive as fast as they like out, and that's really important. Look at the gap that Basel just pulled on Anderlecht with that part of the track. So that is part of the racetrack and really important. And with those guys battling, hopefully it's going to allow Olympiakos, Chris van der Drift, and the others, and it was have the race leader in.
Yeah, so this is the other crucial stop now as AS Roma and Porto come in. So it's going to be fascinating to see how they get on versus Flamengo in particular and Beijing, who came in one lap before. Now AC Milan come in, and so does Olympiakos. Opportunity for Chris van der Drift to gain some places here. The Olympiakos crew have been very good on their pit stops. Let's see if they can do it again. They were one of the fastest in the first race today.
Yep, no, this is important. As we see, he's following the AC Milan car down, and we have AS Roma, the race leader, into his pit box.
New tyres for AS Roma, so he had a couple of sets available to him. Saved them all for this second race, didn't he? Because they knew they had that problem yesterday. So he's really going for a race victory. Flamengo, meanwhile, will he be ahead? This is going to be a close run thing. AS Roma coming out of the pits. Flamengo coming down the straight.
Oh, this is going to be close.
Julian Juice might take the lead, the effective lead here. It's going to be very, very close. Watch the car on the inside. This is the effective battle for the lead. And Flamengo, can he get him on the exit of the corner? He comes to the inside. They go side by side.
Oh, they touch.
Duncan Tappy saves it. I don't know how he saved that. He was on the grass, but he has not managed to get past AS Roma, and Julien Juice has claimed the advantage.
Yeah, that was really, really brave stuff. Julien Juice had a brilliant in-lap, obviously, and the team did a fantastic job with the pit stop, and then wasn't going to let that race win go. Squeezed Flamingo, and now he's under pressure by John Martin. Can John Martin do anything?
Beijing also having that earlier pit stop, but if he's going to do it, he's going to have to do it fast. And Duncan Tappy getting up to speed. What a dramatic battle that was as they came out of the pits. Fantastic stuff. Take another look at just how close this was.
Yeah, look at this. He goes to the crossover, does a brilliant job of it, nicely on the power. And AS Roma just going to squeeze him here, right up on the curb. Oh, can't get much closer than that. And brilliant driving by Duncan Tappy there. Unfortunately lost the lead, but look at that, full sideways.
Great recovery, wasn't it?
Yep, great recovery.
But Julien Juice had the line. It was fair enough for him to turn in. Duncan was always going to try and stick his nose up the inside, and I thought they both did well. Now then, Porto have had their stop, and they're still running strongly as they cross the line now. But actually leading this race, once again, Sporting Lisbon are going for the latest stop. So SCP, Sporting Club of Portugal, at the top of the leaderboard at the moment. Sporting Lisbon are leading the race, but they haven't yet made their pit stop. Of those that have pitted, in fact, it is AS Roma that are effectively in the lead. That's ASR, then Flamengo, then Beijing, then Porto, then Galatasaray, and then Basel, who've come out of the pit stops quite effectively. That was a good round of pit stops for Max Wissel and the Basel team. Liverpool a bit further back. He was on board with the Porto car, really putting Beijing under pressure.
Yeah, he was really struggling with his car earlier on in the day. He looked like he was struggling with a lot of oversteer. Let's watch how his car's handling. He's going through. He's putting a lot of pressure on John Martin right here, so as bad as he said his car might be, he could be on for a podium right here.
Yeah, he's definitely happier, isn't he, with the way that car's feeling, because he's throwing himself at the back of that green and white car of Beijing.
Oh,
he's going to go for a late lunge. Oh, John gives him space, and now he's done it. And John got on the dirty stuff.
Yeah, that was, he looked like he just hinted his nose up, and there was a bit of pressure. John looked in the mirror, made a bit of a mistake, lost his braking point, got on the dust, and that's the second time we've seen John do that. So, great move by FC Porto. They said they couldn't pass around here, but they are, as Galatasaray's right on the back of Beijing.
Yeah, this is the chance for Tristan Bombardier. Oh, he timed that. Oh, he's in trouble, isn't he?
Yeah, no, he's got a problem. It sounded like he's got no gears.
Oh, what a shame, because he's been really fighting hard in this second race. But John Martin doesn't look as though he's going to be able to make it to the end. A little lock-up there from Olympiacos ahead of Anderlecht and Liverpool. So Olympiacos gained a couple of spots on the pit stops there, Earl. And there's Sporting Lisbon rejoining, having gone for that late stop. There was Andy Soucek in the green car just rejoining. But he's come out just in behind Olympiacos, so he's not really going to be much of a factor here. Lost out, really, as a result of maybe a later pit stop than the others around him. But Olympiacos, once again, a good pit stop from them. And he's now under threat here from Andy Soucek behind.
Yeah, and Soucek's been really quite quick. He's just suffering with later pit stops, but he's really putting a lot of pressure under. Oh, is he going to go the inside of Chris van der Drift? Yes, he is.
Wow, made the move where AC Milan got past Tottenham earlier.
Yeah. That's a really surprising move there. You thought that Olympiacos would keep going and pushing to the front, as he's going to come under pressure from Anderlecht now.
Yeah, it's going to be tight. Meanwhile, we saw Robert Dornbos go out in dramatic fashion earlier in this race. Abby is with him.
First of all, I'm really relieved because I saw you smiling, so obviously you're okay.
Yeah, that's the first. The roller car is not nice. I think the driver in question without the rear wing was definitely a big mistake of his part. Very unprofessional, very dangerous. Destroyed my day, so very, very, very unfortunate.
Very unfortunate, but at least you're okay.
I'm fine.
So it looks like Marcos Martinez has been crossed off Robert Dornbos's Christmas card list for the future, doesn't it? I don't think
I don't blame him, though.
He was a little unimpressed by the antics of the Spanish driver, who was wingless at that point because it had already been knocked off in an accident up on the main straight. But yes, Robert's okay, and that's the main story.
Yeah, that's the main story, and I think it just is a real credit to how strong and safe these cars. That wouldn't have been a slow crash. It's about 150 k's in that corner, so to be able to roll a car through the gravel and then hop out and speak to Abby down the pit lane with a big smile on his face is really a testament to how safe cars are these days.
So let's see what's happening. Everybody's made their pit stop. AS Roma, Julien Juice is leading this race and pulling away. He's putting in some quick laps. Duncan Tappy for Flamengo, still in second place. Then it's Alvaro Parent. of Porto. FC Porto in 3rd, Galatasaray in 4th place, Beijing in 5th place. John Martin still going, but I wonder if he does have some difficulties with that car. Further back, you've got this tussle going on between Olympiacos, currently in 10th place, Anderlecht and Liverpool. You're on board the Liverpool car. 12th position with James Walker, but it could be 11th. Oh, had a little look there and had to back out of it.
He's having a good look at the back of the Anderlecht car. Can he get a good run onto the straight here? He's on the power boost right now. It's probably a little bit too far behind, but here it comes. Here comes the draft. Oh, and he's looking up the inside.
He's done it, he's got through, but can Anderlecht cut back? No, he can't. Good move that by James Walker.
Yeah, that was a really good move. Really assertive, straight down the inside. And when you get that far down, you can't do anything about it, and Anderlecht just had to give up the position.
So, changes further back down the order. No change up front at the moment. It's AS Roma, Flamengo, Porto. There they go. Galatasaray, the yellow and red colours of Tristan Gomandi. 4th place for him at the moment. Beijing still holding on to 5th. So whatever problem John Martin had a lap or so ago, perhaps he's managing to cope with it. But no, I say that. He's just been passed by Basel. So Basel have got past Beijing, and AC Milan likely to follow through quickly here. And all this, of course, helping Jelmer Berman in his chase in the points.
Yep, no, exactly. This is really playing into Jelmer Berman's hands. You know, he had a really good strong last weekend, and now he's backing it up with this great result, really moving forward of the big players. And he's going to put John Martin under pressure. Look, he's going to look up the inside of the last corner. Can he get it done? Yep, textbook stuff. Don't overshoot it. Oh, no, he's in the gravel. He's in the dirt.
He did overshoot. He did exactly what you told him not to. He's not listening, Earl.
No, and this is going to put him right back. He's got dirt on the tyres. He's weaving, trying to clean the tyres before he goes into turn 1. And look who's in the background, Andy Soucek.
Yeah, so Andy Soucek will no doubt be able to close up. Let's take another look here.
Yep, and he just goes in way, way too hot. Locks the front brake. When you lock the front brake, you can't turn. Has to straighten up, and he almost gets the Beijing team as it comes back out of the corner. Don't need to be doing that, Jelmer, when you're in 2nd place in the championship and the championship lead is out.
No, that's right. You've got to make the most of this situation. He's currently in 7th place. That's worth 26 points. And guess what? The gap between him and Tottenham is 26 points coming into this race. So it's going to make things ever so tight if they finish where they are. And of course, he would then have a chance to score more points, just a few, in the Super Final. There might not be many points in the Super Final, but he could take the championship lead here today.
Yep, no, exactly. And look at the pressure he's going to apply. Oh, and he gets sideways. And as we come through here, have a look into the corner. You can see the PSV car in the fence there. We never saw that. And as we come down here, he's driving, he's looking up the inside. He saw someone go through Basel through here. No. And he's got to look to the last corner to try to do it again. Is he on the power boost? No, he's not on the power boost this lap.
But you tell you what, there's definitely a problem with John Martin's car. He's not able to run at full pace, and Jelmer has caught him so quickly again and put him under pressure once more. Whatever it is, whether it's a set of tyres that are not working, Martin good out of that last corner though, and that's going to make it tough for Jelmer Berman to attack in the favourite place, which is really down here into turn 1, not close enough, have to follow him through.
Yep, no, that's right. And guess who's lurking in the background? Andy Soucek. So this is really important now for AC Milan. They've got to make the move. They can't do what they did before. If they do what they did, Sporting Club of Portugal will get through.
Look at the pit lane times. AS Roma had a good stop, but a slightly quicker one from Flamengo, and that's why Flamengo almost retained the lead when they came back out of the pits. Some slower stops there for FC Basel and for FC Porto as well. Still watching this battle. AC Milan pretty cool. And Basel's been off. Basel running out of the road there on the chicane. Quick stop from Olympiacos again. They always seem to put in the quick pit stops, and that's what got Chris van der Drift ahead of some of the guys he was dicing with.
Yep, and that's...
That was Beijing sliding.
Yeah, Beijing's got massive rear tyre degradation. He can't put the power down at all. The rear tyres are completely finished, and he's going to have a really awful last 18 minutes of this race trying to hold on that car. It's more like a drift car right now than anything.
Yeah, not the sort of thing you need to try and fend off the guy that's second in the championship, Jelmer Berman, who's hunting him down once again. But it's Andy Soucek as well, who's closing in the other green car. Is he going to go down the inside there? No. John Martin locks the front. Almost gives Berman a chance, but then he still gets off the corner fast, and this is where Berman needs to be fast.
Oh, and they're both on the power boost button right now. Both Soucek and Beijing. He looks up the inside.
Having a go, but he's not quite there. But Martin's got
what's
wide.
What's going to happen here?
He's trying to go around the outside. It's a tilt too. Andy Soucek, yeah, he's going to have a go down the inside. Can't do it.
Now he's under pressure. AC Milan's swept, and now he's under pressure from Souček. What's Souček going to do? Is he going to go the inside?
Oh, Jelmer Berman cuts the door off quickly and makes sure that Souček has no option to do that, but he's really under pressure now from Andy Souček. He's had to almost drop back from Beijing. Here comes Souček having a look up to the chicane, surely not there, but he's just trying to unsettle Jelmer Berman, who knows the pressure's on, knows he's got such a great chance of closing on Tottenham in the championship.
Yep, and Souček, really good guy to do this. He's a Formula 1 reserve driver. He's got a lot of experience in the field, and you know, a hard man to have behind you. And as you see, with them battling, Beijing's gone up in the distance. They were on the power boost. As we go to a replay.
Yeah, let's just take a look. This was Basil going off on that previous lap. We saw him just recovering, didn't we? Hasn't really affected him. He's still in 5th place, but this was the moment.
Yeah, you just saw just at the very beginning of the braking, the rear brakes locked, it twitched a little bit. Quite a good save just to go straight through the gravel. Doesn't hurt. The only thing that he might have is a little bit of gravel inside the radiators, which might overheat the engine. Hopefully, that's not the case.
AS Roma continue to lead this race from Flamengo in 2nd, Porto in 3rd, Galatasaray in 4th, Basel holding on to 5th. 6th place just is Beijing, and then you're riding with the car that's in 7th. AC Milan, and Maria gets pushed away. Whether she's had a spin there, looks like she may well have done. Hopefully she can get going before the other guys come around. Just about. And back on board with Berman. He's got another chance of getting past the Beijing car. Still can't squeeze past, but
no, he's
Beijing's
on the power way earlier.
Yeah, he's got a chance here, but he's on the outside. Can he get it done before? Yeah, he's well past before they get on the brakes.
He's got a problem there.
Yeah, he's back right off now because Andy Souček's followed through, isn't he?
Yep, he just gave up the position there. I'm not sure completely what's happened now.
Well, whatever, it means more points for Jelmer Berman. That's the big story. AC Milan have now moved up into 6th place. 6th place worth 29 points, and that would put them in top of the championship table. So we really have a championship battle hotting up here. AC Milan up into 6th. It will put them on top of the table, and this is what happened to Maria.
Yep, as Maria, she just lost the rear end on the way in, couldn't recover it, couldn't straighten it back up, and just had to stop. And then she got a push back, and now she's back on the road. But a shame from starting off the front row of the grid. There was so much fortune. As we see Jelmer Berman getting nice and sideways coming onto the straight. He's starting to lose the tyres. This is the hard part of the weekend. No one's got any tyres left, and they're all sliding around. The times are starting to drop off immensely, and it's really difficult. You've got to drive that car really nice and straight.
Yeah, and he's still being hounded by Andy Souček here. As you mentioned, he's a test and reserve driver for the Virgin F1 team. He did a full test with the Williams Grand Prix team in December of last year. That was his prize for winning the FIA Formula 2 Championship. So he's a very experienced competitor, lots of GP2 experience as well. And he's loving being back in the Super League car, and he will not give up chasing down that AC Milan car. He's not worried about the championship. He just wants race results as the leaders come through that chicane. Basel still holding on to 5th place, and then the gap back to AC Milan, who's now trying to close that gap to the Swiss club up ahead, to Max Wissel. Of course, Max Wissel himself also scoring very useful points here, which will also keep Basel in the hunt at the top of the championship table.
Yeah, but this man out front, AS Roma, Julien Juice, has done a fantastic job. He struggled all weekend with a gearbox problem, and I think they have rectified that now because he is streaking out in front. He's got a 5-second lead. Let's go on board with him.
That gear change sounding pretty crisp now, isn't it?
Yep, no, it's sounding good. Imagine, oh, and that's James Walker out.
Liverpool off. Liverpool off. They were running in 10th place. And what has happened there, we're not quite sure. That's after the first chicane, whether he's lost it or whether,
we can see some tyre marks going off there. We'll have to see exactly what happened, but that's a great shame. Are we going to have any cars left by the time we get to Super Final?
And I've got a battle for the final podium slot here. Look, because the Galatasaray car, the red and yellow car, coming up to the yellow flag area where James Walker's clambering out of his car. Don't try and overtake there, you'll get in big trouble.
And the reason for that is because they got Maria Devilotta, the lap car, in front of her, just like the first race. She's doing the same thing and holding up FC Porto, and now Galatasaray's right on the back.
Yeah, now he's into a green zone once again. He can overtake if he gets the chance. As you say, they're right behind Maria Devilotta now. Alvaro Parente in the blue and white car, driving for Porto, his home football club, a club he's supported all his life, and now driving for them. But Parente having to work extremely hard. He's now got it down the inside of Maria, who has kept well out of the way of those two, and she is making life a bit easier for people lapping her than she was in that first race.
Yep, no, that was a good job by her getting out of the way. As we see Galatasaray looking for a move on Porto.
He's looking feisty as Tristan Gomedy, but not quite able to get past yet. He was driving the Porto car last year, had a victory with it. Alvaro Parent did one outing in it in Estoril. This year they're in opposing teams. Oh, a little lock up there from Gomadi. He's going to try and cut back, but that was good controlling from Alvaro Parent.
Yeah, no, he's looking for a switchback. He's been struggling with a little bit of car balance. He is in third, and now through that high-speed corner he starts to pull away a little bit, but this will be still a recurring battle throughout the race, and Tristan Gomadi's looking quite quick.
Yeah, this is the closest race on track at the moment, I think. You're on board with the Porto car. Yellow flags are still waving up here because of that car of James Walker that's off at the side of the track. Basil getting past Atletico Madrid, so that keeps him up ahead. He's still in 5th position there, Basil. Max Wissel holding on to that position. Good points, as I say, on offer for him, as Galatasaray not close enough to Porto into the chicane to mount any kind of challenge. Maria in the background, but she's running in 12th place, having been lapped by these front runners.
Yep, and look who's coming up onto this battle, FC Basel. He's going to arrive at the last podium position, you know, very, very soon. He's going to be within this battle and in this fight, and he's got really good car pace right now. A lot quicker than the front two. He's actually 2 seconds a lap faster than the two guys in front. So he's got really good tyres on, good car pace, good balance, and you know, he could be on the podium, and this will be a really good result for him starting from the back, and I'm sure we'll see him back in the super final.
Now, interestingly, Alvaro Parent used his push-to-pass button just a moment ago, so it's opened up. You can see how much difference it makes. He's managed to just escape the clutches of the Galatasaray car for a moment or two. It means that he's still got 2 left, but Galatasaray have only got 1 left. Basel there, they've got 2 opportunities to use push-to-pass still remaining in this race with just over 11 minutes to go. Flamengo running second, by the way, but some 7 seconds behind the race leader, have the most of the leaders. Duncan Tappy still has 4 push-to-pass opportunities available to him. But as you say, Basel are getting closer and closer now to the back of the Galatasaray car as they come through that chicane and climb the hill, and Max Wissel can see some more points perhaps on offer.
No, he can see some more points and a possible podium, so this is going to give him some real enthusiasm. He's really dancing the car. He looks really good through this section, really closes in, and the car looks well balanced. He's really making the charge. He is a very impressive driver. He's very young in the championship, and he's probably one of the most mature heads from anybody. He's finished been in every single super final so far this year, and that's a huge credit to the young 20-year-old.
Yep, just like yourself, Phil.
Yeah, but I mean, he's out there and he's doing the job. A lot of the guys that have had a lot more experience than him haven't made it, so he's doing a really good job, and that's how you win championships.
Well, Julian Juice is doing a good job too. Look at the lead he's got over Flamengo there. Duncan Tappy in 2nd place, but remember, Duncan's jumped back in the car and he's held onto it well. He challenged, he led the early stages, fought for the lead when he came back out after his pit stop. Couldn't quite hang on to it, but he saves what was a huge moment down at this section of the circuit and has basically sort of settled into a good rhythm now in 2nd place. Can't match this guy, and we did think if they could get that gearbox sorted out on this car, which has been troubling Julian Juice most of the weekend, that he would be a danger, and boy, has he shown it, because the laps, he's still in the 1-minute 19s. The only other car on that last lap that was in the 1-minute 19s, interestingly, was the AC Milan car of Jelmer Berman.
Yep, no, he's incredibly quick, and it just proves that he does have the pace of the front runners. He was really quick in Formula 2 last year, and you know, he's right up the front in this. He was pole sitter last time out, so he does have the pace. Let's go on board.
Down to the 2nd gear.
Yeah, that gearbox problem has obviously been rectified. He's still got 3 push-to-passes, and he's miles out in front. He's looking very, very comfortable.
Just briefly on the rev limiter before he comes down to that last chicane. And then the revs building up again, a little bit of oversteer as he just corrects it onto the main straight.
Yep, no, but the car looks really good. He looks like very comfortable in the car, and he's doing it quite easy, and rolls out another 19.9.
Now, looking at the bottom of the screen, we are predicting who will make it into the super final. It's based on the points scored in the 2 races, and at the moment, Olympiacos are all set to make it into the super final, but go for that hat trick of wins in super finals. The other teams that are likely to make it are AC Milan, you're looking at there, Anderlecht, Basel, Roma, and Porto. So the points there are critical, and actually there is a bit of a gap back to Sporting Lisbon, interestingly, so it would need quite a big change around for those top 6 that we just saw not to end up in the super final. But what an opportunity it could be for Olympiacos, and also Basel will maintain their 100% record of getting into super finals.
Yep, but even though it doesn't look like anyone else could join that 6, it's really important these last couple of positions for the starting grid for the super final. because if FC Basel, who's right on the back of Galatasaray now, can make another position, they might jump up another position on the starting grid.
Yeah, so it's a good point. And Olympiacos currently with the most points, looking at being on pole position. They've really Chris van der Drift has sort of benefited from some of the attrition in this race, hasn't he? Because we've lost quite a few cars. That's helped him a little bit. Great pit stop as well. And Olympiacos in ninth, but here comes Max Wissel. He's going to have a little go at getting past Tristan Gomini. Gomini goes tight. Basel cannot go around the outside into that corner, so Max has to sort of cut back into the inside, and he's got AC Milan not far behind as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say, look who's in the background. AC Milan, they just set an incredibly quick lap time. He's much faster than the two guys in front of him, so he is bearing down on these two and going to join this fight, and it's going to be brilliant.
Remember, the fuel load is burning off now. The cars are becoming much lighter, much more responsive, even though the grip's going away.
Yeah, when they start this race, they've almost got 90 kgs of fuel on board. So it's almost like carrying an extra person, or well over an extra person. So it makes a huge difference to the car's handling performance. And towards the end of the race, they end up with basically no fuel. So that's why you see these cars get faster and faster, and they also get much more lively. In the beginning, they're quite docile. Now they're getting really lively, lighting up the wheels on the power.
So can any of these guys make a change? AC Milan grasping this opportunity to close the points gap to themselves, between themselves and Tottenham, but Basel in that same situation. Basel were fourth in the points coming into this race, still in the hunt. Really the top 5 teams, including Basel, Olympiacos, Anderlecht and Milan, all still in with a shout of winning this championship, and particularly now that Tottenham have failed to score in the second race of the day. Here comes Max Wissel again for Basel, getting close to the back of that Galatasaray car, but putting himself under pressure from Jelmer Berman.
Yeah, no, he looked like he locked the rears into that last corner. It's the second time we've seen him lock the rear brakes. You can change the brake bias, which is putting more percentage of pressure onto the front or the rear. And with carbon brakes, it is very, very particular with the heat. And I think maybe he just needs to make an adjustment, because that's why he went off at the first chicane. And it also has something to do with the fuel burning off in the rear. The rear's getting lighter and a little bit more lively on the brakes. But this is the second time we've just seen a little bit of a wobble from him.
Yep, and Jelmer Berman will have seen that wobble, and it will have given him a little bit of a boost to think he might gain another place and score yet more points in his chase of Tottenham up on the leaderboard. Well, Craig Dolby will be watching this from the pit lane and wondering, will his lead have vanished? It looks like it will have done. It looks like his lead in the championship for the first time this season, remember, will disappear. Dolby and Tottenham have led the series from the very first race of the season, but now it looks as though that changes. Oh, Jelmer Berman just bobbled it over the curb there. Got to be careful not to get too carried away.
And the team radio would have told Jelmer Berman, and he would have seen that the Tottenham car and Craig Dolby is out of the race. So he will be thinking, with a championship mind, he has been around a long time, and will be thinking, hey, I don't need to do anything silly. I am probably going to claim the championship lead out of this weekend. I don't need to go off and crash the car and score 0 points.
Absolutely right. No, he needs to keep it sensible as well as go on the attack. Under 5 minutes to go.
Oh, and Porto on the rev limit, stuck on the rev limit down the main straight.
Yeah, we heard that as he went past, and Porto had dropped out of third place. There he is. We're on board with Alvaro Parent. Just when it looked like he was going to score another podium finish after his victory at Nürburgring, it's all come to a grinding halt, and Alvaro Parent, oh, he'll be bitterly disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, what can you say? He was in third position, looked really comfortable.
And of course that's going to change the points and the super final. He was all set to go into the super final, and Sporting Lisbon therefore might make it through. Andy Soucek might have a chance to get in the super final. That's a big story.
Yeah, no, that is a big story. First time coming back and he can get in. Also, AC Milan are making that lead even bigger to Tottenham in the championship now. And also, this has just become the battle for the last podium position. Could you imagine if AC Milan or FC Basel from the back of the grid could make a podium? Everyone said you can't pass around Zolder, but hey, these guys have proven it from the back to the front.
Yep, they've done really well here, and as you say, these 3 cars now racing for third place. There's the race leader, not much doubt about him, with 3 3/4 minutes to go. AS Roma, Julien Jus having a massive lead. The whole length of the pit straight and more is his advantage. We're just waiting for the second place car to cross the line. It has. Flamengo second, nearly 10 seconds behind the AS Roma machine. And then this race for third going on between Galatasaray, then Basel, then AC Milan. And these 3 big football clubs in their own nations driven by a mixture of experienced drivers. Tristan Gomedy in the Galatasaray car, experience of champ cars, of course, and World Series Renault before that. So he knows a few tricks of the trade. There's the second place car. There's Duncan Tappy, driving well, keeping it clean, staying off the curbs. There is the race for third. There we are then. Tristan Gomedy with the youngster Max Wissel behind him, the 20-year-old, whose most of his big car experience has come from these cars, from Super League. Shake of the head from Alvaro Parent. He's just had a desperately disappointing weekend, and he wants to forget this one and move on to Brands Hatch. He does like Brands Hatch, by the way, former British F3 champion. He loves the place.
Yeah, no, he does really like the place, and I was speaking to him earlier. He was quite despondent about how it was going. I'm sure he would have had a big smile about the fact that he was going well in this race, but like a mechanical failure. But as a driver, you can't really feel too bad about that. You haven't let the team down. It's not your fault. You can't do anything about it, and you just have to move on and forget about it. Oh, as we see Tristan Gomedy lock up a little bit into that last chicane. Can someone get a good run onto the straight? Oh, and AC Milan's right on the back.
Yeah.
He's on the power boost.
It's helped AC Milan, but Basel also on the power boost. They're both using a power boost at the same time, and neither, therefore, takes advantage. It stays as was. Now Basel have none left, but AC Milan still have one left, so that could still change.
Yep, no, exactly. AC Milan have got one left, so that's a huge advantage now. And the car in front, Tristan Gomedy, he also, Galatasaray, have used their power boost, so neither of two cars in front have got them.
The problem is that you can't, he may not get the chance to use it again because there's a gap of 2 minutes between using it and using it again. It's built into the electronics of the system. Will he have enough time this race? He may do. He may get enough time to use it one more occasion before the end of the race. We'll have to see.
That's a very good point, as we see Galatasaray coming on the back again.
Let's quickly get some reaction from Alvaro Parent in pit lane.
I'm sorry to have to chase you, but you were heading for a podium. What happened?
There was some kind of failure with the car. I think the system pressure changing the gears failed, and that was it. Couldn't change gears, and yeah, shame.
Well, great disappointment for him, but this race for third is still on here between Galatasaray, Basel and AC Milan. It could change before we're all going on to the final lap. I think this time will be the last lap. Across the line they go. Nothing to choose between three cars, three football clubs and three feisty drivers all wanting that last spot on the podium and, of course, a position perhaps in the super final later on today.
No, exactly, and this has been a great battle, but what a drive from AS Roma. They've led from the front, really good strategy, saved the tyres from the first race, and he's led away over a 10-second lead. And here we go, second place for Mingo, Duncan Tappy. I think he'll be very happy and he'll have a smile on his face.
Yeah, I think so too. He's delivered on his stand-in duties, if you like, or his chance once again to drive for Flamengo, and he's going to match Flamengo's best result with a second place, but it still could change for third. Tristan Gomedy's using every ounce of all of his experience, but right behind him is a young whippersnapper who wants to get past, and then behind them a championship challenger. Here comes 23-year-old Julien Justo. He comes through the final corner, and we are going to have a 10th different winner in Super League Formula in 2010 as AS Roma win at Zolder in race 2. A dominant victory from the young French driver.
Good job. You're in the final.
And a superb second for Flamengo. Duncan Tappy and Galatasaray do hold on to take third from Basel and AC Milan. So Tristan Gomedy makes it another French driver on the podium. Chased home hard by Wissel and by Jelmer Berman, but in terms of the championship, of course, Jelmer Berman has just taken AC Milan ahead of Tottenham in the points. Beijing had a problem in that race, but still managed to bring it home in 7th, Olympiacos in 8th, 9th place for Anderlecht, and 10th place to Bordeaux.
Yeah, no, I think it was a fantastic race. AS Roma didn't put a foot wrong, but what an exciting race. There was so much action going over. The first lap was incredible, and big thing is this has changed the championship immensely.
Yeah, well, it has been an amazing weekend, hasn't it? Really turning the whole thing upside down, and poor Craig Dolby, no fault of his own, remember. If he didn't catch the start, well, just to explain that Craig Dolby got caught up in somebody else's accident and there was nothing he could do. The car got a front wing stuck under his own front wing, or rear wing, whatever it was, and it took him into the wall on the start-finish straight. He didn't even make it to the first corner.
No, he didn't even make it across the start-finish line, I don't think. So, you know, that's a real tragedy for Tottenham Hotspur, but what can you do? That's motor racing, and he'll be out at Brands Hatch on home soil, and he'll be out to attack.
Yeah, he will. So the results of the second race of the day. AS Roma taking victory by a massive 10 seconds from Flamengo, and Tristan Gomedy held on to the final podium slot for Galatasaray ahead of FC Basel's Max Wissel and Jelmer Berman for AC Milan. Andy Soucek, good on his return, and that'll get him to the super final in 6th place. Beijing in 7th place, 8th for Olympiacos, 9th for Anderlecht, and 10th for Bordeaux. 11th place for Maria de Vallota in the Atletico Madrid car, but unfortunately failing to finish at the end there was Alvaro Parent in the Porto car. Liverpool went out earlier, as did PSV, crashing out. Seville involved in that initial accident. Corinthians rolled into the gravel trap, and Tottenham didn't even make it to the start line. So a real day of drama here as Julien Jus brings his AS Roma car in. He's had 2 second places before this event this weekend. He had a podium when he turned up at Monza last year, but what a tremendous drive that was. And he dealt with the pressure from Duncan Tappy. That pit stop time was really the decisive moment in the race, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, it was, and that's a really hard-fought pressure time. It's like doing a qualifying lap, like a shootout lap. You know, it's really difficult. If you make a mistake, it could ultimately cost you. And as we saw how close it was, if Flamengo had got in front, it might have been a different story. But what a drive.
Yeah, I thought they both drove superbly well, and no doubt about it, Jus had the pace. The laps he was reeling off there at the end, as quick as anybody else, weren't they?
Yep, no, exactly. He really was dominant and was the quickest car by far out there. So it was great to see. But hey, so much excitement. We've still got another race to go.
Yep, still the super final to look forward to. The battle for 100,000 euros is still to be sorted. As these guys clamber out, they'll all be their teams will be itching to get hold of the cars so they can get them ready for the super final. And there's the guy that just about managed to hold on ultimately for that 3rd place. It's Tristan Gomedy. He might have only finished 14th in race 1, but he's come home with a 3rd place, and that's his 2nd consecutive race 2 podium, because he achieved the same at the Nürburgring last time out. Tristan Gomedy finishing 3rd there at the Nürburgring in race 2, and he's done it here. And Abby is with our winner.
Congratulations, Julian. After all the trouble that you've had with your gearbox, it must just be so rewarding to take the win.
Yeah, I'm happy to fix the problem with the gearbox. The first race for me was a disaster. After the pit stop, my gearbox was a lot of trouble as well to shift up, shift down. Good start was okay. Everything was good. I led after the pit stop. I tried to focus on my race, get a good lap time. The car looks perfect now. I need to do the job in the final because that's the most important. So
it really talks about how well you are at, clearing your head if you have such a disaster in race 1 to turn it around and get this podium now. It's great stuff on your behalf.
Yeah, I pushed very hard after the pit stop. Maybe too much because after 5-6 laps I did one big mistake, and I prefer to be safe on smooth until the end. And the job's done now. Let's go in the final, we will see.
But do you think that the key moment was when you came out and you just passed Flamengo, who's by the sides of us here?
Yeah, so the key is in the pit stop, because on this track it's so difficult to overtake. So yeah, I overtake Ducam in the pit stop, and that's the key, sure.
Well, congratulations. And Duncan as well, another driver that managed to turn around. Not the greatest race 1, and like you said, anything can happen, and here you are on the podium.
Yeah, it just shows that, it's the great format of Super League. I mean, if you have an average first race, you can come away with something and not be a disastrous weekend. So I want to say thanks to the team, because we had to work hard for this one, and changing drivers isn't always easy. So thanks.
Also, well done to you though, Duncan. You've got to take the glory, because Frank Pereira's been driving so well and consistently for Flamengo, but hasn't got the podium. You just have.
I think he may have got one at Assen, did he not? But yeah, I mean, it's good. 2 races here at Super League that I've done this year and 2 podiums. So it's a shame to have lost out the pole position and come in 2nd. But if someone would have told me at the weekend, would you finish 2nd, would you take it? I would have said yes. So.
Well done.
Thanks, Abby. Duncan doing a fine job indeed. Yes, matching, in fact, Frank's best result. He did have a 2nd place at Assen, but nonetheless, it's been a great performance by the English driver. So let's just take a little look back then at the fun and games that were all about race 2, and so much of it was about the start. The contact between Liverpool and Seville. Seville then bouncing into Tottenham. That took Craig Dolby out of the race. Another view of that. Absolutely nothing that Craig Dolby could do to react there. But look at what happened to Corinthians. Rolling over the front of the Seville car that was still going round, ran the black car off the road. Meanwhile, battles going on between Galatasaray and Atletico Madrid. Maria de Vallota did not want to be passed. But as we saw, this was the crucial moment. As AS Roma exited the pits, Flamengo went for the inside, couldn't quite get there. A brilliant piece of car control by Duncan Tappi to save himself from being thrown off the road. Meanwhile, AC Milan was on a charge, trying to get past Beijing. John Martin was struggling a little bit with the green and white car, and soon enough it was an opportunity for Jelmer Berman to go through. He then kept the pressure on up front, but AS Roma was well clear, opening up an advantage of over 10 seconds. And AS Roma and Julien Jus taking their first victory in Super League Formula. So that was the story of the second race of the day, but we do still have another race to go. That is, of course, the Super Final. We've got a quick podium celebration to enjoy, but then the top 6-point scorers from the first two races will be back out in the Super Final. The presentations being made then, we've already seen Tristan Gomedy there, Duncan Tappi picking up his award for second place, and there the winner's trophy goes to Julien Jus. And, well, he might be very happy, but he is going to be already focusing on that next race, I'm sure. So we may not see the sort of exuberance that you might otherwise expect to see. Actually, Gomedy's not there for some reason. I thought he might be already have got his trophy, but he's rushed off to his car. He's getting ready for the Super Final, I think, Earl.
Yeah, and I don't know. He's got to go to the podium, but now these guys have got to turn around. They've just celebrated at Proben, which is really great, but now you know, Julien Jus has got to run down the pit lane and jump into his race car and do another race.
So Craig Dolby, look, he's back to his normal smiley self again now. He's explaining what happened.
And Ben just tried to talk to me on the radio.
He's not going to blame me, is he?
Called the radio out, so.
Yeah, we were going to try and talk to him after the accident, but he was already out of the car by that point. I don't blame him, do you?
No, I don't. But also, it's great to see that he's back to his smiling self. He was a little bit disheartened after the crash, which I don't blame him for. It's never great when you have an accident and you're the championship leader.
So here this is how they've scored in the two races today, and this is how the top 6 are classified for the Super Final. Actually, Sporting Lisbon didn't quite make it in. We're going to see Olympiacos on pole, AC Milan, Anderlecht, Basel, Roma and Galatasaray. Those are the 6 cars then that will be in the final shootout, the short race. On a standing start, those are the 6 cars that have made it in, and Olympiacos, who've scored more points than anyone else, will therefore start from pole. So the hat-trick is on here, Earl. The hat-trick is a real possibility. Getting ready for the final climax to today's events at Zolder, and this is how the grid will line up. Chris van der Drift will start from pole position for Olympiacos as he seeks his third €100,000 check in 3 events. Jelmer Berman starts alongside him for AC Milan. David Rigon for Anderlecht in the second row with Max Wissel of FC Basel. And then just 2 more. That's all you get. Just the 6. Julien Jus for AS Roma, who we've just seen win race 2. And Tristan Gomedy, who fought so hard for that final podium slot, and it has sneaked him into the Super Final. Let's get down to the pits though and get some reaction from Craig Dolby.
Now, Craig, now that you're smiling again, I have to ask the question. AC Milan has just taken the lead in the championship. You were caught up in that awful incident at the start. What are your thoughts?
Oh, I'm all right. I mean, what can you do when you get taken out at the start? There's nothing I could do to gain points on him. So, you know, Jelmer drove a great weekend and he's still got the Super Final to come, and it's not a big gap. Then, you know, we work hard now for Brands Hatch, get better, and yeah, we'll be all right.
Does that mean going into Brands Hatch on home soil and having to fight for your lead again?
It's all right. It's like any other race. You know, I go there to win races and put on a great show, and I'll sure do that. Thank you.
Buy your tickets now, I think, is the story of the day, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you'd have to say. Interestingly, there it looks like Jelmer Berman putting on a new front wing onto that car. That's interesting. Yeah, I wonder if there was any damage in the in that previous race. Difficult to tell, of course. He was involved in some pretty hard action, wasn't he? Yeah, no, he was. And it was a great battle. He made it a long way up through the field. And I'm really looking forward to the Super Final. As the team are just resetting that front wing there. There might just be an adjustment, or perhaps an end plate got damaged. We'll have to wait and see. 5 laps is all they're going to get in the Super Final. It's so much of it is about the start. And, of course, for the only time of the weekend, Earl, they do a standing start. So
you sort of have to reset the brain a little bit, don't you, for a standing start. Let's just look at those championship points, by the way, before we go into that. 6 points now, the lead that AC Milan has. For the first time, Tottenham are not leading this championship this year.
Yeah, no, it's an incredible story, and we talked about it earlier. Can they catch him? Well, they've caught him and overtaken him, so that pressure is really on, and it just shows how much pressure goes in to racing at the top level of Super League Formula. As we see Chris van der Drift, this is the man that's won 2 in a row. He's going for 3 in a row, and I spoke to him earlier, and the reason why he does win these races is his start. It's a standing start, and he gets a brilliant one, and this time he's off the front row for the first time.
Yeah, so if he gets as good a start as he has done the last couple of times from the front row, they won't see him for dust, but he's got to do it first. He's got to deliver it.
Yep, no, that's exactly right. So it is very, very tough to get these cars off standing start. It's got 750 horsepower. As we see, Julian Juicy's just done a podium, and now he's getting back on the car, frantically putting on his gloves. Tyre warmers come off. He doesn't have new tyres there.
No, that's right, so that could be a disadvantage. It depends a little bit on what tyres, what good set of tyres you've still got left at the end of the weekend. They do have to respond to the time, though, and if you don't make it out in time, there are several reserves who will be ready to take your place. So the first reserve, by the way, is Sporting Lisbon. If any of these 6 cars is unable, for whatever reason, to go out there onto the grid for this super final, the first reserve is Sporting Lisbon. The second reserve is the Flamengo car of Duncan Tappy.
Yep, no, that's right. We look in the background there, we can see Davide Rigon, brand new set of tyres for the super final. So obviously they paid a bit of strategy and they want the €100,000 prize here, and they've saved a set of tyres.
That is a huge potential advantage. New set of tyres though for Olympiacos, look.
Yep, Chris van der Drift, new set of tyres, so that's why we didn't see him charge back up through the field today. As we see Jarmo Böhrmann,
Jarmo Böhrmann's got an old set by the look of it. He's allowed out onto track. He'll be starting on the front row alongside Olympiacos, as we've seen Olympiacos with a new set of tyres, going for the big hat-trick, going for €100,000 for the 3rd event in succession. Can they do it? Now, there's not a lot of time now. They're sent out onto track, but when they come back around onto the grid, they don't sit there for very long, do they?
No, they don't sit around at all. It's not like a normal start. They arrive on the grid. As soon as that 6 cars stopped, they're away. And it's interesting here that some of these cars are going to have to sit on the grid for quite a long time.
Well, they've got to get out of the pits by a certain time, otherwise they will be disqualified. So if they're not out within the time limit, they will be disqualified. We have seen that happen before. In fact, Tristan Gomini got caught out for it. So let's hope they're all out on circuit within the time frame. I think they probably have just about made it. They'll come around onto the starting grid. Then we'll see a very quick transition. The lights will go out and we'll be racing for €100,000. Can he really do it? Can he really do it 3 times in a row and get that big check?
Well, I don't want to put the curse on him for the commentators, but he's in the best spot to do it. He's going to be standing start. The biggest thing about a standing start in one of these things is it's going to be the first time all weekend. They've normally had rolling starts, so all of a sudden you've got to reset your mind and try do one. It's not like a normal category when you're always doing them. So that's what makes it so interesting. And my board Jarmo Böhrmann just warming up the car. He's going to be a hard man to beat. He looked really quick, really focused. The other interesting thing is we've got the strategy with tyres. Is Chris van der Drift going to be able to get those new tyres up to temperature quick enough to get off the line well? He told me earlier in the weekend he doesn't save tyres for the super final. Obviously this weekend he has.
So now everybody really has their mind focused on the final section of the weekend, the super final. Watching them just trying to get that heat into the tyres and brakes as they prepare to come around and take their grid positions this time. It's not a rolling start. They're going to come onto that grid, then a brief pause, and then they'll be launched down to that first corner. Who is going to win that €100,000 check? Can Chris van der Drift really do the hat-trick and get all 3 in 3 events? He managed to do it at Jarama. He did it at the Nürburgring, and now he's going to try and do it here at Zolder. He takes his position up front.
He's overshot his grid box.
Can he go backwards? I'm not sure he can go backwards. He will be done for a jump start if he can't move that car back.
He's going to move the car backwards. 5-second board.
He can't. He's in trouble already. He's already blown it, I think. Away we go. And the super final gets underway. And a great start by Anderlecht. Davide Rigon. Davide Rigon moves up into 2nd place and challenges for the lead. He goes for it into the first corner. He's got ahead. What a start. He used his new tyres, and Davide Rigon has got in front now. He's got to stay there.
Yep, no, he's got to stay up there. You know, that was terrible for Chris van der Drift. A bad mistake overshooting the grid, but now he's under pressure. He's got new tyres. Can he hold on to Davide Rigon? But there's such drama in this super final already.
AC Milan, you're riding with Hjalmar Berman. He can pick up a couple of points here. Just only 6 points on offer to the race winner in the super final. It's really about the big money, and you could tell that Davide Rigon is fired up by the prospect of that big check. He's had one this year. He wants another one, and he made a launch pad start there. Fantastic getaway, and he's done what Chris van der Drift has done to the others on a couple of occasions already this year.
Yeah, no, I think he did a fantastic start. Unfortunately for Chris, I think he was a little bit unfocused and flustered with the fact that he was out of his grid box, but you can't do too much. It'll be interesting to see what the race stewards have to say about it, and we see AC Milan right to the back of the field. Oh, and we have Basil going a little bit wide. Can AC Milan capitalise? He's under pressure now.
Yeah, good chance this for Hjalmar Berman to put Max Wissel under pressure. Has to go to the outside. It's so tight on the way into this chicane. So difficult to cut round, and he can't. He has to sort of back off a little bit and slot in behind the FC Basel car across the line at the end of the lap, and Anderlecht having the advantage. Here comes Hjalmar Berman. He's now got the chance. He's now down the inside. This time he makes the move stick, and he's into 5th place.
Yeah, no, that was a really, really good move for 5th place, and now he's got to charge up the field and try and catch the car in front of him, Galatasaray, but I think he's probably going to run out. I've only got 5 laps in this race, remember.
Yeah, it's fast and furious, isn't it? We're on to lap 2 of those 5 right now, and look at Anderlecht and Olympiakos. You know what? Chris van der Drift might have been a bit unsettled. Here comes AS Roma and Galatasaray, but Olympiakos has not given up yet on challenging for the lead. Car 9 is under investigation. Our timing screens are flashing at us, and that is for him being out of position. That is the Olympiakos car that's being referred to because of his positioning on the start line. Meanwhile, this could turn out to be the race for 2nd position between these two, Earl.
Yeah, well, I'd have to say, to be honest, overshooting the grid box like that, it's almost a certain drive-through penalty, unfortunately, for Chris van der Drift. But here we have AS Roma, the battle for the last podium position. He had such a terrible first race, and now he's battling for the 3rd in the super final. As we see, Olympiakos is right behind Anderlecht. It's just a shame that that start happened for him.
Yeah, it is a pity, because otherwise we'd be on looking at a wonderful tussle, but we are expecting Olympiakos to pick up a penalty for being out of position. We'll have to wait to see AS Roma Galatasaray come through. AC Milan, how's AC Milan going now that they've got past Basel? Is he going to close up on Galatasaray?
He is closing up, but unfortunately for him, he doesn't have new tyres, as these two are just streaking away at the front. And it's a great battle. These two were the 2 guys that streaked away in the first race, and they're doing the same in the super final.
Yeah, they are. They're really showing their class. These were the 2 who were fighting in the pole position final yesterday, remember? They were the 2 that made it through, and Olympiakos just snatched the pole. Well, perhaps Davide Rigon's going to return the favour and snatch the win here.
Yep, no, exactly. And let's watch on board with Chris van der Drift as we go away. He's so close. He looks like he's got fantastic car pace. The car and the team have done a great job all weekend long.
Yeah. Meanwhile, AS Roma just establishing themselves in what is 3rd on the road, could end up easily being 2nd in reality once the stewards have looked at that start. But Chris van der Drift has to put that out of his mind, which he's doing very well. He's in 2nd place on the road. He's going to try and take the win on the road and then argue about it afterwards, I'm sure, because any racing driver worth his salt would do that.
Yep, no, exactly right. And he's closing up on the back of Anderlecht here, but yeah, his car looks really, really good. It's hard to get close enough with the downforce as well, and let's see if he can close up.
2 laps to go then, just under 2 laps to go in this super final at Zolder, in absolutely perfect conditions. Look at that blue sky up ahead. It has been cloudless virtually all day. There's just the odd little cloud just appearing into view now, but it's been gorgeous.
And he's on push to pass right now.
Interesting.
I believe. So he's really trying to catch, and like, as they just set a fastest lap, an incredible time in 18.8, which is one of the fastest times we've seen all weekend long.
Yeah, including qualifying. So that's an amazing time, 1:18.8. The fastest I think we saw was a 1:18.7, wasn't it, in qualifying? So
yeah, and look at Chris van der Drift, who's closed back up on the back of Anderlecht. This is a brilliant battle. These two are right on the limit and right at the top of their game.
Yeah, and running away from the others. The gap back to the others is now some 5 seconds, but the team manager of car 9 has been called to race control. Chris van der Drift in the red and white car, his team manager has been called to race control, and surely that can only mean one thing. We are going to hand him a penalty for being out of position at the start. What a shame. It's so difficult because on this super final it is up to the driver to get himself into his grid spot. Normally they'd be helped by marshals or by their team to make sure they're in the right place on the grid. But for the super final, they have to sort it out themselves. There's no one on the track to show them, and he just managed to overshoot his mark.
Yeah, and Christian just proved he's the quickest man all weekend. 18.5. That's the fastest lap we've seen.
That is the fastest lap so far. Brilliant effort by him. He's not giving up despite the likely penalty. But you have to say, Anderlecht and Davide Rigon also doing a super job here. Remember that he had the victory at Assen earlier on this season in both the race 1 and in the super final. He's a winner here in the past at Zolder when he went on to win the championship, let's not forget, for Beijing back in 2008. Davide Rigon, he's still only a young guy, but he's already been a champion in Super League, and he really has got that card dialed in perfectly for the final race of the day.
Yeah, well, he has, and he's looking really, really strong, leading out in front. Very, very composed, and you can't take anything away from the young Italian. He's been in the category a few years. He knows how to win. He knows how to win. Oh, and he locks up.
Oh, it's not over yet. He's still there. He's still in front. He's still just got to get down the last straight.
Yep, this is the last lap, so he's coming through the last chicane. Can he keep it nice and tidy?
It's looking good for Davide Rigon, for Anderlecht. He comes out of the last corner. 100,000 euros goes the way of Davide Rigon and Anderlecht. Second place. The hat-trick taken away for Chris van der Drift. He's second on the road, but second may well go to AS Roma after the stewards have made their decision. But what a result that was for Davide Rigon. What a start he made. He got it off the line to perfection.
Fantastic guy, fantastic, yay!
And he's starting to celebrate already.
Yep, no, he'll be a very, very happy man inside. Coming from third on the grid, just shot to the lead. Brilliant move down the inside in turn 1. He knew he had to do it.
I have just a small flat spot in the left front, keep in mind.
And he's already telling his engineer that he has a small flat spot on that tyre on the left front. So next time out, they'll be aware of it.
Yep, so I don't think they mind right now.
No.
They just won 100,000 euros. They'll be the happiest team in the paddock.
You know, he might buy them another round of ice creams. That's what he did last time he won the 100,000 euros.
Yep, and look at the team celebrating. It's a fantastic result for them.
Generous like that. They all thought they were going to get a few beers, but they got ice cream. Never mind. That's what Davide Rigon likes. That's his treat. There might be some ice cream flowing around there tonight, that's for sure. But Davide Rigon, he's a lovely guy, isn't he, Earl?
Yeah, no, he's a really great character for the championship. Been here a long time and already a champion as well.
So Anderlecht win the super final here at Zolder ahead of Olympiakos, AS Roma, Galatasaray, AC Milan and FC Basel. And 100,000 euros going the way of Davide Rigon for the second time this season. This is the moment that he achieved it, out of that final corner, across the line to take the checkered flag. 5 laps over in the blink of an eye, and success once more for Anderlecht. So what a result for the Belgian team, eh? Belgian Football Club. They've had a successful, that last season, nearly into the new season, of course, but last season Anderlecht won the Belgian title, and here we go. They've won the super final here today.
Yep, no, exactly. And this is I'm doing a fantastic drift through the first corner, but this is a really great day. It's really changed the championship around. We've seen, Tottenham Hotspur really struggling, and then we've seen Anderlecht and Olympiakos coming to the front, taking the charge, and AC Milan, and it's a hotting up fantastic round next time out at Brands Hatch.
Yeah, just gets more and more exciting as we go through the course of this season. But to do this on home turf, that's very, very special indeed. It sort of backs up the success that Craig Dolby had at the beginning of the year as well at Silverstone in the super final there on home turf. So Davide Rigon has done it here. He did it at Assen as well, which was almost home turf, but as close as he could get for the Anderlecht team at that point. Now he really has done it in Belgium. The 100,000 euro prize goes to Davide Rigon, and there we are. The guys will all start to celebrate and make the most of that. A great day's racing from them. 6 points scored, and there's engineering teammate Robert Dornbos delighted to see that his man has come home. Of course, poor old Robert crashing out of that second race in dramatic style with the rollover into the first corner, and the other guys down there as well. Chris van der Drift brought the car home in second, but it may well end up being different to that. And AS Roma brought the car home in third. That might well end up becoming second, and that's worth a fair bit of money as well, because money does go down the order in the super final nowadays. 75,000 for second, 50,000 for third, and that error from Chris van der Drift could have cost him quite a lot of money.
It could do, but the race stewards still haven't ruled, so he could get lucky. But I mean, what a fantastic result by Davide Rigon. You know, brilliant, flawless in the super final. And here we go, Chris van der Drift. Made that slight mistake. I don't blame him. If you look at the start-finish line, there is a white line and then a checkered line, which is the start-finish line, and I think he thought that was the start line.
And also he was behind the other cars. He sort of had to come through between the cars that were already on the grid, and it made it harder. Let's get some reaction. Abby's down there.
Davide, congratulations. Let's get this formula right. Anderlecht won the Belgium football title again. You've just won 100,000 euros for Anderlecht.
Yeah, fantastic. Unfortunately, we was very fast also in the race 1 and race 2. You know, if we start in the front, for sure, we can win also the one race and get more points. But fantastic like this, fantastic at home of Lander. I'm so happy. Thank you for my team. Thank you very much.
Now, Davide, I've interviewed you lots of times now. You're always so nice. You're always so composed. The last time you won 100,000 euros, you took the team out for ice cream. What are you going to do this time round?
Oh yes, we are just
take them out. Enjoy the check.
Yeah, we just calm and continue to push with the car and never mistake. This is the secret of racing.
Now, what I do need to tell you at the top of the championship table is that Jelmer Berman for AC Milan has overtaken Dolby, so things are starting to get very interesting at the halfway mark.
Unfortunately, I don't know about the championship because I was just concentrated here. But okay, fantastic. Our target is to win the championship, so for sure we will fight to the end to try to get Burman now.
Well done, thank you very much. Now, Chris, we've got to talk about that start. You were on, you know, the way for another 100,000 euros, making it a hat trick, but you just overshot that mark.
No, I just was too cautious into the first corner. I didn't want to, you know, go wide, and then Davide just shot down the inside of me. When I saw, you know, that's it, because I just too cautious and just my mistake, really.
But did the engineers let you know that they were looking at it, whether you'd be penalised, that you didn't start in the right position?
Yeah, afterwards. It was a bit of chaos because I could never get reversed, because if I got reversed, the lights would go out and I'd still be in reverse.
But what was really great, though, Chris, is that you kept on the throttle, so did you not think that you may be disqualified?
No, I didn't really think about it, to be honest. I knew I was a little bit over, but you know, I'm not going to try and go back because I missed it in the whole race completely. So there's no time. Once you stop on the grid, the lights come on and off straight away. So if you do anything else, you're going to miss it. So.
Well, 275,000 euros, it's not bad.
Yeah, hopefully keep it, yeah.
Well done. And Julian, someone else that's managed to turn around this weekend brilliantly to now take 50,000 euros in the super final. Congratulations.
Yeah, I'm quite happy because the beginning of this weekend was a disaster. I did only 8 laps in free practice. The extinctor switched on in my face during the practice. So much problem, and race 1 was so difficult with the gearbox, but I did a quite good start, and the two drivers in front of me had a new tire, so I couldn't do better, but finished third. It's my best result in the final since the beginning, and it's quite good for this event.
Well, as such a young challenger, though, in race 2 in particular, you showed how fast you can be. Some really experienced guys in the field, and you had a 10-second lead.
Yeah, well, when you start on the front, you know, and you have a good car, you drive well, you finish on front. That's just motorsport. So I hope to be lucky the next event, because we had so many problems since the beginning, and but we prove the car is still quick. So I hope to be good next time.
Well, it's a great finish for you. Congratulations.
Thanks, Abby. Yeah, he's done a fine job here today. Has Julien Jus in the background, the PSV car, just coming home on the back of a pickup. Now, just take a look at these points. AC Milan, for the first time this year, then, have come away from an event as the championship leaders. 8 points is not very much over Tottenham in second place. And as we heard from Craig, he's ready to fight and go on at Brands Hatch. Anderlecht now 55 points off the lead, but they're still in that hunt. FC Basel only another 5 points further back. Then Olympiacos, they're in 5th place. Even if they lose the 2nd place from the super final, it won't make much difference. There's only a few points on offer there. AS Roma, Flamengo, then Porto, Sporting Lisbon and Liverpool completing the top 10. Outside the top 10, you've got Bordeaux, Galatasaray and Corinthians. Unfortunately, ended up in the gravel upside down here at Zolder. So it's time for the podium celebrations now to take place here and to enjoy and soak up the moment. No other race to go. There he is then, Davide Rigon for Anderlecht, winner of the super final, and there's some big fat checks just waiting to be handed over to those drivers in a few moments' time, and we'll see some happy guys, I'm sure. There's Julien Juice, also ready to pick up his check as well. And now the anthems.
Okay, thank you very much. Round of applause for Davide.
So the Italian anthem for Davide Rigon, but he's become a new hero, I think, once again for Belgian side Anderlecht, as he's delivered for them this weekend, in particular delivering that super final victory and that €100,000. Trophies are about to be handed out then, and Julien Juice picking up his trophy for 3rd place in that super final. And great to turn a weekend around like that, Earl. It's miserable starting a weekend like he did, but it's great to come back from it.
Yeah, no, it was incredible how well he turned that around. You'd never think from yesterday's result that he'd be up on that super final podium.
There's your compatriot, Chris van der Drift, has a pretty good weekend.
Yeah, no, he's had a fantastic weekend. He's continued to build 2nd place. You can't really complain about that first and 2nd. He's on a real roll.
Definitely, but there's the guy who did it when it mattered in the super final. And for the 2nd time this year, he's taken a super final victory. What do you reckon? Is he still somebody to watch in terms of the outright championship?
Oh, I think all these guys on the podium right now are looking very, very good for the championship, especially Olympiacos and Anderlecht. And I think going into Brands Hatch is going to be great. A new track for Super League Formula. I know Chris van der Drift's incredibly fast around there. Alvaro Parent, British F3 champion in the past, so it's going to be great.
It is. It's a track you know well. What is it going to be like in a Super League car, and what's going to be the sort of biggest challenges of it?
I think it's going to be spectacular racing, and it's really that not being able to see the elevation change around Brands Hatch, and it's very much like this throughout the trees, very, very high speed. And I think these guys are going to have a real challenge driving them around, but it's going to be spectacular.
It's going to be wonderful, yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. The checks, Chris is grabbing them for himself here. Look, he can't wait for his money. So now finally he gets his mitts on the money, and there we go. Davide Rigon with the €100,000 check for the 2nd time this season. There'll be a few bonuses handed out amongst the mechanics, I'm sure. So there'll be a lot of happy guys down there. What a time to do it. What a place to do it as well.
Yep, and they're all singing down there for Davide Rigon. It's great to see, great spirit.
He's going to become an adopted Belgian at this rate, I think. That's lovely to see. And former champion, of course, in Super League Formula in 2008. But the series just gets more and more competitive. I mean, when he won it in 2008, it was tough. But now it's getting harder and harder to be consistently up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I mean, if you ever look at it, you couldn't predict who was going to be on that podium, even from qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic stuff from Davide Rigon for Anderlecht, and looking forward to that Brands Hatch race. He's going to be feeling pretty confident, I would think. But anything can happen, as we can see. All of them will be hoping to achieve greatly and to keep that pressure on in the championship after Craig Dolby's problems. So as the guys go off and start to celebrate, let's take a look back at the super final in particular. And it was all about the start here. Olympiacos moving into position very late and going over the line, deciding not to put it in reverse, which was probably extremely sensible because they were then released very quickly. But it was the Anderlecht car from 3rd on the grid that shot past AC Milan and then went on the attack into the first corner, dived down the inside. That was a perfect getaway.
Yeah, that was a perfect getaway. AC Milan seemed to struggle with the gear change, and then after this, AS Roma, brilliant recovery from the first race. AC Milan at the back. And here we go, Olympiacos coming across the line.
But he just could not manage to keep Anderlecht under that much pressure all the way through. So Anderlecht came home with the victory. Olympiacos finished in second place, and Davide Rigon won the €100,000. So that was a look back at the Super Final and the action and fun and games from that one. And well, we'll just have to see if Rigon's going to continue that sort of form when we go to that next race at Brands Hatch. We're going to take a little look back at some of the other action from today. Just a little reminder, this is what happened in the first race, when a little bit earlier on this morning, when Chris van der Drift started on pole position on the rolling start. He made an extremely good getaway, and Tottenham was the car going on the attack, sweeping around the outside of turn 1.
Yeah, no, that was a brilliant move. Brand new tyres for the start. Oh, and Christian Domi had a bit of a spin, but he still made it to the super final. And look at this move. This was real championship winning stuff. AC Milan being dominant over Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah, that was a key manoeuvre from Jelmer Berman. And FC Basel also tried to get past Tottenham, almost made contact with Craig Dolby's car. Fortunately managed to keep out of it, and in fact, in doing so, allowed James Walker and the red Liverpool machine to sweep past on the outside along the start-finish straight. Chris van der Drift, though, had it pretty easy. He might have had the odd lock-up, but really no one was ever going to stop him coming through to take victory in race 1 of the day. It was his first victory in race 1, but his 4th win of the season. So a super effort by Chris van der Drift. Delight for the Olympiacos team. So that was Chris winning race 1 earlier on today. And then, of course, he had a pretty effective race too. Great pit stops, by the way, from the crew.
Yep, and that's Chris's dad there, congratulating him. And Chris's whole family's here this weekend, so it's great to see them out supporting the Olympiacos team and Chris van der Drift. I think he has to be very, very happy with his weekend.
He should be. Yeah, he's delivered superbly well this weekend. And as you say, he'll be looking forward to Brands. But Jelmer Berman is our new championship leader, and he's talking to Abby.
It's been a great weekend of racing. It's been so dramatic, but the story of the weekend is that you've just gone to the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, no, of course I'm very happy. Extremely happy, but it's just the super final was not so great for me. And that's, you know, I think I just need a couple of minutes to get over that, and then I can be happy for the rest of the time before Brands, you know, about leading the championship.
Now, what do you think this is mean going into Brands Hatch? Dolby is going to be so aggressive, especially on home soil, but you have just got the title at the moment. Can you hold on to it?
Well, I think we've got a great car. Team's been doing a great job. I think we're very consistent, so we just have to keep it away. And of course, the championship's still long, but I think we've got a good package, so a good chance.
Well, you've been really consistent. The top's yours for the moment. Let's see what happens in Brands Hatch. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Abby. And the ironic thing is, Jelmer Berman knows Brands Hatch much better than Craig Dolby. Craig has not raced on the long circuit at Brands Hatch. Jelmer's done a lot of British Formula Renault and British F3. He'll be feeling pretty good about going to Brands.
Yeah, he will be feeling pretty good, but I remember the first round at Silverstone. They all wrote off Craig Dolby at the first round because he's never been to Silverstone, and what did he do? He won.
Yeah, I know. You can never write Dolby off, and track knowledge is not much to worry about. So let's take a look now at what happened in the second race of the day here. At the start of this one, it was Flamengo on pole and Maria de Vallota, but it was Tottenham that got into trouble, caught up in another accident when Seville were hit by Liverpool, swept across in front of the Tottenham car, and there was nothing Craig Dolby could do about it. And then we saw this dramatic rollover for Corinthians. Robert Dornbos, thankfully unhurt in that incident. Another dice. This was between Maria and Tristan Gomedy. Contact was made. Thankfully, both cars survived that. And in the battle for the lead, a crucial exit from the pits from AS Roma's Julien Jus got him out ahead of Flamengo. And despite Duncan Tappy's attempts, he was then able to hold on in front. Further back, there were moves going on as AC Milan tried to get past Beijing. Initially, it didn't quite work, but when they tried again on their second run, they were able to go through, and it was important points that meant that Jelmer Berman would go away from here as the new championship leader. But Julien Jus put all problems from earlier in the week behind him and came through to take the victory in that second race of the day. So the fans soaking up the atmosphere here and enjoying what has been some tremendous racing. Let's get some more reaction. Abby is now with Chris van der Drift.
Chris, you're still looking quite pensive. Have you heard any news about what has happened about that super final start?
No, I haven't heard anything at all. It's just a bit of a bummer, really, because I was a little bit confused. I was looking at the marshals, you know, where to go, and they keep going me forward. By the time I realised where I was, I thought, no, this is way too far, and I tried to stop, but yeah, I was a little bit too far in front. and I would never get reverse gear by the time I put reverse, and the lights would go out, so I'd be still in reverse while everyone's going. So that wasn't an option at all to do. There's a bit of a confusion, I think, with the marshals on the wall. Just keep telling me to go forwards.
Well, let's talk about the championship in general, because it has been really good for you this weekend, getting that race 1 win. We've also had a little bit of a stir at the top with AC Milan taking over Dolby. What do you think is going to happen for the second half of the season?
Yeah, well, like I said, it's only the second half, and I'm getting stronger too with the team. So no, I really look forward to it. And a lot of the tracks coming up are all unknowns for people as well. Since, up until now, it's about half the most of the field, I say, have driven at all the tracks. So I've been relatively new. So now we get to the new stuff, so everyone's on the same playing field.
Well, let's hope you keep that 75,000 euros.
Thanks, Abby. So we wait to find out the what happens there. We know the team manager got taken up to race control, but we don't know the decision yet.
No, we don't know the decision, but I'm sure they'll work through it, and here we go. Here are the results.
So final situation with the points going away from Zolder is that AC Milan have taken the lead in the championship, 8 points ahead of Tottenham. Anderlecht still in the hunt with Basel close behind and Olympiacos. You've got to say the likelihood is the champion will come from those top 5 teams, but who knows, there are still some other teams in there who will be challenging at the next few races. There's an awful lot to look forward to. Brands Hatch is next on the calendar at the end of July. We'll be there. Hope you can join us then. From Ben Edwards, Earl Bamber and Abby Griffiths in pit lane. See you from Brands Hatch. Bye-bye from Zolder.